In March of 2020, as the world slowly shut down and ground to a halt over a couple of weeks, the management consulted team had a very unique perspective. Nothing changed. In fact, for the last 10 years, we've been working in a remote environment that hasn't been work from home and hasn't been work from the office. It's actually just been work from anywhere. And because of that, we have had a really remarkable team culture that carries a lot of insights for how organizations can succeed in this current environment. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the lessons that we've learned over the last 10 years about how working from anywhere can be a sustainable, exciting way to work that doesn't lack connection with the people that you're working with. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the insights that you could bring into any organization that you're working in as well. First of all, number one, we compensate people tied to company performance. One of the things that I learned working at Bain before this last decade, working at Management Consulted, is that one of the things that ties people's performance to the good of the organization is compensating them based on when the organization does well. We would have team meetings and the business updates would originally sound like this. We're doing really great. These things are changing in the business. Revenues are up. Costs are nearly flat. And so we're making more profit. And some of the staff would sit there and think, gosh, we're the cost in the business. And so the profits are going up. So that's great. I guess that means that we get another lunch here, another offsite there. But really, how does that tie to what we're doing? And while I was at Bain, about halfway through my tenure there, the firm opted to provide a compensation bonus that was tied to firm performance. So if the firm did well, everybody got X%, and it was based on your level. And it immediately changed the way that I felt about the incremental work that I needed to do to add value to the organization. So when I took over as the owner of Management Consulted, one of the first things that I worked to do was to introduce that kind of company performance bonus for folks that had been with our organization for about 6 to 12 months. Tying compensation to the company performance has helped us significantly with alignment with the major goals inside the organization, making sure that when we release people to go work, they know that their ultimate focus is the good of the company. And so rather than managing them to timelines or performance metrics, we only have one, is the company succeeding. And that clarity has helped everyone manage in a more healthy, a more focused, and a more productive way. The second thing that we've done is that we have created an anti-meeting environment. When people ask us to meet, we actually push back and say, what are all the reasons we could avoid this meeting? So instead of stacking our calendars with meetings, we remove as many meetings as possible from the calendars. And we focus our meetings on productive work that we've already sold, that we're delivering, sales, conversations, or internal meetings just when we're in decision mode. Having that kind of anti-meeting environment has freed everyone up to actually get things done. And there are often times when we'll come away from even an on-site when we're getting together and having conversations, and people will say, I can't wait to get back to work next week. Even though we did big, important, life-changing things during those on-sites, the real work we know happens when there are non-meetings happening. This is one of the challenges that we've seen in organizations that have moved from an in-office model to a work-from-home model, is that they have made the assumption that more meetings are better, that more meetings are necessary to maintain the same kind of connection that you had when you were in the office. What we found is the opposite, that fewer meetings actually improve connection and voice inside the organization. And so we're really encouraging, as we're walking through and coaching organizations through this change, to take a different view, which is just, can we avoid this meeting, as opposed to, can we add a meeting to the calendar? The third thing that we use is the pyramid principle from ground level up in our organization to promote ownership of decisions. The focus is that everybody needs to come to a meeting with an assertion about what they think, what their point of view is, what they believe should be done. If the meeting is not about action, the meeting does not need to happen. If the meeting is about a problem, the meeting does not need to happen. The meeting needs to be about action that the organization should be taking. Sure, if there's a problem as context, fine. Sure, if there's different research pathways that you took to come up with your decision, you could lay those out. But ultimately, we don't have the meeting until the decision has been made by the person who's going to own it. And then the meeting comes together to make sure that that person doesn't have blind spots, challenges, or thoughts that they haven't incorporated into their plan. But ultimately, when people come to the table and they say, I've done the research, this is what we should do it now, and here's why, this is how much it's going to cost, this is what it's going to make us, that makes decisions really easy inside our organization. So if those decisions aren't done, if people come to us in the middle of that process, again, we cancel the meeting, send it back, and then begin the meeting again when the decision is close to having been made. Focus is the new IQ. It's a quote by Cal Newport. And one of the things that we think is really powerful is that if people, instead of doing everything across the board, focus on the most important things, which is decisions and action, then we get more done as an organization. The fourth thing that's really valuable is that we have annual team strategy meetings. These on-site meetings are critical for building rapport and connection within our team. And they never feel long enough. They always feel like something that we could pursue for longer, but we keep them very focused. In December every year, we have an annual strategy meeting where we look at our revenues, our products, our lines of business, and we talk about how we could create more focus inside our organization, what we should be building toward, what we should be developing, what we should take off the table. And those annual strategy meetings are the one time a year that we really step back and reflect on the mission for the upcoming year. Then, in the middle of executing that mission, we have added in the last 12 months a second on-site meeting, which is focused on doing stuff from the customer's perspective. We call it a customer journey or a customer strategy meeting. And so instead of thinking about the company as a whole, we think from the customer's perspective. That's been a really valuable counterpart to our December meetings. And both of those on-site meetings are really important for getting the team on the same page, enjoying one another, and getting to know what's happening in each other's lives so that we can better accommodate for that as we're working separately from anywhere in the world. Number 5, everyone on our team has at least one outside contract. So they have gig work with us and gig work outside. Many people are 80% of the time with us, but having that work outside does two things. Number 1, we compensate based on hours worked plus that performance bonus. And so with the hours worked, we really focus people on utilizing their hours the best possible. So we're not a salaried environment where you have natural wastage. We have everyone who's on a contract with the organization. In addition, that outside gig work adds value by training people in skills that they bring into our organization, and they're able to incorporate what they learn with us outside in their gig work. Sure, it makes them more valuable to us and to other organizations over time, but ultimately it's a win-win because of the focus that it has on people performing in the time that they're spending directly for the job. What this also means is that we have no standard vacation time. You can take vacation absolutely anywhere that you want to go in the world. You can work as little or as much as you want to when you're there. You can work more beforehand and more after. You could just not work when you're there. As long as your ultimate goals are being met, then that's absolutely great. If people want to have somebody cover for them, they're able to ask for folks to step up for that as well. So we have a very flexible policy, which is basically 100% vacation time whenever you want it, wherever you want it, and you can work from there or you can not work from there, just related to what you need to get done. Number 6, one of the things that underlies everything that I've talked about today is a deep trust that we've built inside our organization. Sure, we use tools to do it. We ask for people to take ownership over their decisions using the pyramid principle. And we ask for people to account for the time that they spend just by working the hours that they're working, and then getting paid a portion of the bonus that is focused on the company's performance keeps us aligned in that way. So there are tools that we use to get here, but ultimately we also just really focus on building trust inside the organization. Trust breeds productivity because we're not just working for a job that is mandated. We're working by choice toward a goal that we believe in. We're working for people and with people that we value. And that trust really creates something incredible. And so with all the tools that we build, we focus on that being one of the core values of our organizations. If you are moving into a work from home model and are worried about how this could go, let me just tell you, I did every job that I did before this one for 2 years at the most. This has been a sustainable, powerful, and exciting, rejuvenating way to live and work, and I'm so excited about it. I live personally on a ranch in Northern California that I could probably not live on in the same way and do the fulfilling work that I do if we didn't have this work from anywhere model. So just to recap, there are 6 things that we do that make the work from anywhere model work really well for our organization. Number 1, we tie compensation to the company performance. Some part of everyone's compensation once they've been with us for about 6 months is tied to the company performance. Number 2, we have an anti-meeting environment. We start with, should we not have this meeting, as opposed to should we have this meeting. Number 3, we use the pyramid principle, requiring everyone to bring their decisions to the table for what should be done and why. Number 4, we have annual team strategy meetings. We have 2 now. We started with 1, but we have 2. 1 that is overall strategy, 1 that is customer strategy. Number 5, we have gig work with outside contracts. So everyone, including myself, keeps one contract outside of the business to keep ourselves fresh and focused for when we are in the business. And number 6, we focus on trust as a core value, which breeds productivity because it aligns us with the humans inside our organization and the mission of the overall goals. Thanks so much for listening to this list of 6 things that we found that have made us successful as a work from anywhere organization. In light of all of the changes that are happening in the workplace, we would super duper love to hear from you. In fact, if you have just moved to working from home, some of the ways that you found that successful would be really helpful for us to know. And if you've worked from home or worked from anywhere for a long period of time, we'd also really love to hear about things that you're doing inside organizations. In addition, we do training on virtual programs and virtual team building, so we would love to help with that as well if that's helpful for you and your organization in this moment in time. You can reach out to us, team, TEAM, @managementconsulted.com.